Hey everybody, so we just got back from the Hybrid Co conference in San Diego. We had never been to the Hybrid Co before, but this opportunity to attend came up last minute, and so we decided to go. So we made the trip from Santa Barbara down to San Diego and got to listen to some really amazing people talk about their careers and their crafts and weddings. Met a lot of cool new friends, and I was really excited because one of the sponsors of the event is Goodlight Presets, and I've been using Goodlight Pack 4, which is the Erich McVey pack, for the past, I don't know, year, and I love those profiles. They're sort of the industry standard profiles for wedding photographers, just really beautiful film inspired colors. You can do a lot with those profiles. I have a video on them. They're awesome. And while we were in San Diego, Goodlight actually released Pack 6, which is the Erich McVey Part II. And we got to hang out with the Goodlight guys, Cody and Austin, who are so cool and are new friends. And it was really fun to meet them and hear a little bit about the presets from them and hear about their careers. They're both amazing wedding photographers themselves and just really cool people. So we had a great time getting to know them. And I bought the pack as soon as it was released, out of support, but also just because I love these presets and they're the ones that I actually use. And so because this pack is so new, I'm still getting a feel for it, but I love it so far. And I wanted to edit a few photos for you in Lightroom and just show you a little bit of what this pack can do. It's not as film inspired as Pack 4. Erich's work has evolved since they created that pack into a more sort of editorial style. So it's less film focused and more true to life. By the way, we also got to meet Erich himself, and what an amazing guy. He was just like so nice. Again, just felt like a friend right off the bat. So that was super cool. Really a huge fan of Erich and his work. So it was great to be able to make that connection with him. And I'm excited to show you the new Goodlight Erich McVey Part II Pack 6 presets. So here is a wedding gallery. I just pulled a few photos here that I wanted to edit. This is a wedding we shot in September. It was actually recently featured in The Anti-Bride. And when I first edited this gallery, I edited it with the original Erich McVey presets, the M4 profile, which is one of my favorites from that pack. And usually when I was using Pack 4, I would just select a profile and I would apply it at a low percentage and make my various adjustments with that profile applied. Now, the interesting thing about this new pack, and this is something that Cody also told me when I was chatting with him about the pack, is that these profiles are a lot less intense than Pack 4. And so you can apply the new profiles at 100% and not see as much of a color shift or change. So they're a little bit more subtle. And like I mentioned before, they're more true to life. So we're going to use this image as a good starting place to go and look at everything that you get when you get this pack. Here on the left-hand side, you see here is the pack. Goodlight Presets Pack 6, Erich McVey Part II. You get 8 different profiles here for 8 different looks. Now, I've started experimenting with these looks and I like them all. They're really kind of close-knit family, so I'm still figuring out the slight differences between each of them. But number 1 and number 2 are sort of the bread and butter, it seems, of this pack. So number 1 being this just like gorgeous color, true to life. It's a slight difference if we apply it here, so nothing drastic, but it does offer a nice pop of style to an image. And then MV2 is slightly lower contrast, so this one's good for direct light or high contrast scenes. It kind of cuts that contrast a bit. MV3 feels similar to MV1 to me, except maybe having a little more pop and a little bit more saturation. And then if I understand it correctly, MV4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 start to tweak the colors a little bit more. And so I think this would just be a case-by-case basis where you might just select one depending on your taste. MV6 is really nice. It feels slightly similar to M4. So I like this one. And then MV8 is perhaps the most stylized of the entire pack. So it's interesting to see the differences. So we'll just run through them. Here's MV1, MV2, MV3, MV4, MV5, MV6, MV7, and MV8. And then you also get these tone adjustments, and these are basically adjusting the sliders in the basic panel and some curves, so you can play around with these on a case-by-case basis depending on what the image needs. You also have some tools like auto sky recover and face retouch, subject brighten, corrections, things like that. And then of course, sharpness and some grain. So you can kind of use these tools to help you for your taste, or just sort of convenient options for you if you don't want to dive into the panels of Lightroom. So for this one, I think I'm going to go with MV5, and then I'll just make a few very slight adjustments in the basic panel. And a lot of this is just to taste. That's a before and an after, before and after. And that looks great to me. It has nice pop, nice color, very true to life, but still has style to it. So really liking that. Here's an example of a photo inside getting ready. So I wanted to just show you this to give you a different lighting scenario to take a look at. And we can cycle through these and see which one we think works the best. I think for this one, I'm going to choose MV7. And then again, just making small tweaks to taste. Before, after. So that's a very slight difference, but you can see what these can do for you. For this image, I'm going to apply MV1. And then it is kind of a high contrast image, so I'll just cut that a little bit using the sliders in the basic panel. But I kind of want to keep most of that. And then I might just bring up the overall warmth. Before, after, before, after. Before, after, before, after. So just add some nice color and nice style to these images. For this one, I'm going to apply MV2. And honestly, with one click, that looks pretty good. We can make some additional slight adjustments here if we want to. Maybe adjust the cropping a little bit, but I think this looks pretty good. Before, after, before, after. For this one, let's cycle through and see which preset is calling out to me. I think for this one, we're going to go with MV6. And then again, it's just making slight tweaks in the basic panel. I really like these presets because they are not doing anything too drastic, and they sort of leave a lot for you to tweak and find your own sort of style within these. The images don't feel over edited, but they still feel like they have received that attention that they need. So that's really nice. For this one, we're going to apply MV1. I'm going to bring up the overall exposure, and then I'll bring down the highlights, the whites, and we'll just adjust these sliders in the basic panel and adjust the white balance until we have something that we like. Before, after, before, after. Here's an example of direct sun. So I'm going to apply MV2 to kind of cut that contrast a little bit. And then we can further refine as we have been doing. Might bring down the overall exposure and just adjust the white balance slightly. Before, after, before, after. Here's a scene from Ceremony. So I'm going to apply MV2 since this is a little bit of high contrast. And then I'll go ahead and adjust as we've been doing here. Before, after, before, after. We're going to apply the settings from previous. That looks pretty good. We'll just add back a little bit of the contrast here and then adjust the white balance again. Before, after, before, after. So you can see how quickly we're able to edit a wedding gallery with these. It really doesn't take too much to make the images look really good. I was already used to editing with Pack 4, and these colors feel very similar, slightly more subtle, but definitely similar to the color palette that I've been used to working with, which is much appreciated. I love the way that they apply to these images, not over editing them, but adding that style to them. It's very much in the style that I've been working with. This is not going to be a drastic change to your images, which I think is good, especially for wedding photography, because we want it to feel true to life and timeless. And a lot of the work, again, is going to be up to your taste when it comes to white balance and basic adjustments. So that's just something to keep in mind. We're going to apply the settings from previous onto this image. And pretty much right off the bat, this is good to go. One other thing that Cody was telling me is that the presets in Pack 4 each had their own sort of character, their own sort of life to them, while the presets in Pack 6 are sort of closer in a family together. So you might find that you're selecting various presets within Pack 6 to edit an entire event, whereas with Pack 4, you may have just selected one single profile that you use to edit an entire wedding. So for example, in Pack 4, I would use M4 for everything on an entire wedding day and just make adjustments as needed. But for Pack 6, you might find that you're using MV1 and MV2 and maybe MV6 and not just sticking to one specific profile within this pack, which is just something that's a little bit interesting. All right, so for this one, I'm gonna go ahead and start by making adjustments in the basic panel since it is quite underexposed. We're gonna just bring up the exposure and the white balance. And right off the bat, this image looks pretty amazing just with those tweaks in the basic panel without adding any color or preset. And for this one, I think we're gonna add MV1 before, after. And then I might just make a few more tweaks here, bring back a little bit of that detail. Before, after. Beautiful. For this one, we're also gonna go with MV1. I'm gonna bring up the exposure, bring down the highlights, and bring up the blacks a little bit. Again, making tweaks here. We're gonna warm up this image. Before, after. All right, here's an example with Flash. I was finding that MV5 seemed to work pretty nicely. And then I was making a tone adjustments, tone 5, which sort of just flattens out the image a little bit. And with this one, I'm going to bring down the overall exposure, and then I might cool it down a little bit and just make further adjustments here in the basic panel. Before, after. And I really like this look for Flash. It sort of evens out the tones and the contrast in the image. It looks really great. I'm going to apply the settings from previous to this one, and then we're going to make our adjustments to the white balance and exposure. Before, after. That looks pretty good. Same for this one. Apply settings from previous. Make adjustments to the white balance here. And that looks pretty good. Before, after. And then here's an ambient dance floor image. So I'm going to start from scratch here. I think I'm going to try, let's see, I'm going to try MV. We can cycle through these and see which one is looking the best. I'm going to try MV6. And then again, we'll make our usual tweaks here. It's just slightly too orange, so I'm going to bring back the slider there. Before, after. And then here is our little gallery of edited images that we just edited, and this gives you sort of an overall sense of the color that we're seeing within these presets. So there you go, a quick look at GOODLIGHT Pack 6 Erich McVey Part II. These presets are great. They are stylistically beautiful. They give you a really great place to start with your images. They keep the images looking true to life, but also enhanced with that beautiful style and color that you can expect from these profiles. They're not as strong as the profiles that were in pack 4, but they still feel familiar to the colors that you would get with the profiles from pack 4. So this isn't necessarily an update to pack 4. It's really its own pack. It's more of the editorial true to life pack, whereas pack 4 is the sort of the film inspired pack. So if you're a photographer like me, you shoot film and digital, I think it's nice to have both of these packs in your arsenal so you have different tools to choose from. The profiles that GOODLIGHT makes are really great. They're sort of becoming like an industry standard. At least that's what I've seen here in our area. Like all of my friends use pack 4 to edit their images, and they're producing really incredible work. So if you're looking for a preset pack, I couldn't recommend GOODLIGHT enough. They're also just really cool people, and they're actual wedding photographers. So they know what they're doing. They know what they're talking about. So you may have noticed these presets don't really change the image all that much. And I think that that's a good thing. You know, I think for us, definitely, we've been moving towards this more true to life, natural, less edited look. And usually the biggest edits that an image requires are in the basic panel. It has to do with white balance and exposure and contrast adjustments, maybe some saturation adjustments. And so what these presets do is they give a nice layer of style to your work without overpowering it. And so I really love these for that. It's very much aligned with my current mindset when it comes to editing, moving into 2025, and I'm definitely going to be using these in my work. So there you go. I know that these are still very new, and so I myself am going to be continuing to explore and learn new things through using them. I know that GOODLIGHT is planning to put out some live edits, and they have a really great Facebook group where there's going to be conversations about these. But I'd love to hear what you think if you've used these, what you think of them, if you've used pack 4, how you use pack 4. Let me know what you think about the edits in this video, if you have any thoughts, feedback, etc. Thank you as always for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. If you're new here, consider subscribing to the channel. I'll see you soon. Bye.